Okay, able to hear me? Fine. Okay, good evening, morning, good afternoons from wherever you joined. So welcome for attending this webinar, Project Management Basics, Agile Basics, Agile Tool Basics we'll be seeing on Jira and Azure DevOps. So the first two sessions will be taken by me, so the Project Management Basics and the Agile Basics. So the general instructions, all of your mic and camera is switched off, and so you can raise any of your questions in the chat window. And so during the Q&A, so you'll be able to unmute and ask questions. And if there are, because of time constraints, if there are any unanswered questions, we will update it and send it to your email. And we are recording this session, and we will share this session in another 24 to 48 hours. Okay. Jump into the session. So we will speak. I'm going to see about the project management basics. First, you'll see about project. So what is a project? So project is nothing but it's a temporary endeavor, which is having a definite start and end. And it creates a unique product or service or a result. So the temporary means that it has a it is short in duration. So any project, if you take it, is works on a shorter period of time, and it has a definite start and end. It creates a unique product or service. So if you see any project or any product, so some uniqueness will be there, maybe on the location or on the environment or the design, so how it is working. So you can find out some difference between each and everything. So that is uniqueness. Okay, so the project is a temporary endeavor with a beginning and an end, and it creates a unique product, service, or a result. So the examples that you can see about a project is projects are road projects, bridge construction projects, IT projects, development of some software tools, event projects, and process improvement and new product development. So there are not only this, so many other examples also you can take. So we saw about project. Now, what is the major difference between projects versus operations? Okay, so projects are unique and temporary. So we already saw. So projects are unique and temporary, whereas operations are ongoing. So any type of work that you do, so those are ongoing and it is repetitive. So any type of maintenance work, shutdown related work, so all these are repetitive. So the same type of work you may be continuing to do, so that shows it is ongoing and repetitive. Okay, but the common things that is between the projects and the operations are both are performed by people, and it's constrained by limitations. So either to do project or operations, you need resources. That is, people has to perform the project as well as people has to perform the operations, and these are constrained by limitations. So you may be having resource constraints, material constraints, equipment constraints, or environment constraints. So those constraints need to be considered while doing projects as well as operations, and the both are planned, executed, and controlled. So whether you're doing project as or operations, so in that particular case, you need to plan. So what you're going to do. So what is the scope that I'm going to do? What is the design? So that you will be doing the plan, and then based on the plan, you'll be executing, and then simultaneously you'll be doing the controlling part also. We'll see about project management. So we saw about project, the difference, the major difference and comparison between project and operations. Now about project management. So project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. So it's nothing but the application of knowledge. So knowledge is something what we gain by learning or by experience or anything. So we gain the knowledge, and by gaining knowledge, after gaining the knowledge, so you'll be performing. So the knowledge what you gain, so based on the knowledge you perform for that particular activity, and also you use different tools and techniques, the various methods and mechanisms that you can use to execute that project activities. Okay, so that is the knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. So the client might have given the requirements of the project, what need to be done. So what is the outcome that they are expecting? So that type of outcome that you will be giving based on the requirement. Okay, so the main thing is the requirement need to be met and not the expectation. So in project management, if you see, so it is also called as triple constraints. So where the scope, time, and cost you can see. So anything that changes, the other also will get changed. So scope, time, and cost are interrelated. So if you change the scope, the time gets changed, and if you change the time, the cost gets changed. And in between, if any time gets changed, the other thing also gets affected. The project managing a project. So the main things that to manage a project is you identify the requirement, so you address the needs. So what the customer is giving, so you identify that particular requirement, what is the scopes, all these informations that you identify, and you address what are the different concerns and expectations of stakeholders, the various different stakeholders, internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. You identify their needs, concerns, and expectations, and address those requirements, and then actively collaborate and communicate. So each and everything is what you're doing. So from the starting till the end of the project, so what are the things that you're carrying out? What is you're doing in planning? What are the design? So all these things you do an effective communication and collaboration between the stakeholders and better communication with the client. So the better understanding of the project and delivery of the project can be done. And then identify and balance the completing project constraints. So in between the projects, you may be getting various different constraints. So you identify the constraints very early and find out the various different mechanisms to manage those constraints. And so any risk that you identified, how best that you can manage the risk. So those things you can find out and update it and successfully complete the project on time within the budget and the scope. So we saw a little bit about project management, and about project and operations. Now we'll see a little bit about program management and portfolio management. Okay, so program is a group of related projects. So the different group of related projects managed in coordinated way to obtain the benefits. So it's not managing individual projects, so you're managing group of related projects. So that is, if bridge construction is happening, so the related works that are under that particular bridge, so that sub projects, so those things that you will be considering, and those are the related projects, so that you'll be taking and that you're managing. So that is the program. So program management is managing the interdependencies between the projects is called the program management, and the achieving the program objectives. So the interdependencies, so after completing one project, you'll be starting the next project, or in between a particular phase of the project is completed, the next project gets started. So those things you'll be identifying. So that is the program management. Whereas in portfolio, so portfolio is a collection of projects, programs, and other works to meet the strategy business objectives. So the business objectives that is given by the owners, the organization. So to achieve that, you collect the projects, programs, and other works, and work together to achieve the objectives. And the portfolio management is the centralized management of the collection of programs and portfolios to achieve the organizational goals. Okay, so that is the portfolio management. So let's see a smaller the relationship of program, portfolio, and project. So at the top, you see the enterprise. So that is nothing but the organization level. So the organization will have various different portfolios, and some portfolios will directly have programs, and some other portfolios will have sub-portfolios and then programs, and each program will have projects under that, and projects may have sub-projects also. Okay, so this is the relationship of organization project portfolio management. So you can see with a small example. So in infrastructure related field, so wherein you can see that we have the roadways and railways as the portfolio, and under roadways you have bridges and flyover as the program, and under the bridges you have the different bridge constructions that you're doing. So that is the project. Whereas the flyover you're taking as the program, and the different flyovers, what you're doing, individual flyovers you're taking as project. Whereas in railways, if you see, so that is the portfolio, and below that, the southern region and northern region are considered different programs, and you have another sub-portfolio as metro and another sub-portfolio as suburban moves. So like this, you'll be able to manage it. Okay, so under the programs, you have projects, and under projects, you might have sub-projects. So for example, here, if you see the metro, so the C1 and C2, that is City 1 program, City 2 program. So in City 1, the Metro 2, Metro 1, Metro 2, Metro 3. And under Metro 1 project, you have Line 1 and Line 2, that is the sub-project. So this is how the relationship between project, program, and portfolio. Different way to see this, the project, program, and portfolio is, so at the top you have the organization which gives the vision, mission, and the strategic objective. And under that organization you have the portfolio, and under portfolio you have sub-portfolio, or the other works, the projects and the program. And under the program you have different projects and sub-program. In some cases you may be having sub-programs, and then under projects you have sub-projects. Okay. So if you see at that top level, the organization level, so it is called the strategy level. So where the strategic decisions, everything is being taken, the strategic objectives, whether it is met or not. So those will be measuring there. And at the portfolio level, you'll be measuring the benefits. So what are the benefits that you're getting out of the projects, programs, and other works, whatever you're doing. So that benefits, that is called the benefits level, where you'll be measuring the benefits. And at the lower level, you have that is the delivery level, whereas the projects and the programs, that deliver different stages. So that shows the delivery level. I will go a little bit about the project and the development life cycle. So the different project and development life cycle. So the first one is the predictive life cycle or the fully plan driven life cycle. So in the predictive or the fully plan driven life cycle, so that scope, time, and cost are clearly defined in this early stages of the project life cycle. So so in IT terms, if you say, so it is also called as the waterfall methodology. So that is a predictive life cycle. So where you define clearly at the early stages of the project life cycle the scope, time, and cost. So you do the analyzing phase first, then you go to the design, then build, then test, and then you do the delivery. And the next type of life cycle is the iterative life cycle, where the scope is defined in the early stages, but the time and cost are modified or routinely modified based on the prototype or the early delivery of the feature what you are developing. Okay, so you can see the same analyze, design, and where you prepare the prototype, and in the build test you refine it and then deliver it. So in the next stage, you will be having another time and the cost that will be different. And in the incremental life cycle, so the development is produced through a series of iterations. So the series of iterations, so you do the various iterations and you add functionality as and when that is required. So you do the analyze, design, build, test, and then once again you do the analyze, build, design, build, test, and then analyze, design, build, test. So the so for each iteration, what you're doing, so the duration might differ. So this may be 1 month, this may be 3 months, this may be 4 months. So like that, based on the functionality, what you're going to do. So based on that, the iteration size, that is the time that differs. Okay, and the next thing is the adaptive life cycle. So adaptive is nothing but, so you might have be hearing, and many are following nowadays, and mostly followed in the IT segment. So that is the change driven or the agile methodology. That is the adaptive life cycle. So where we have two different life cycles. One is the iteration based agile, so which is time boxed. So each and every box is measured with the same time. Okay, and at the end of each thing, each box, you will do the feature. Okay, so the tested feature is delivered. So at the end of each iteration, so the iteration, each and every box, the iteration remains the same. So you might be deciding on 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So the iteration is running from 2 to 4 weeks. In the flow-based agile, the time is decided on based on the feature. So the work in process limits, so you decide on the work in process, so how many features that you're going to do. So based on that, you will fix the time. Okay, so how many features that you're going to do, so that till that feature you fix the time. So it may be, this may be 1 month, this may be 3 months, and this may be 2 months. So like that, you will decide on different things, and you will decide on which feature that you're going to do. So that is, this is the adaptive life cycle, where we see the two different things, iteration and flow based. And finally, we see the hybrid methodology. So hybrid methodology is, so you combine both agile as well as predictive. So agile development is followed by the predictive rollout, or a combined agile and predictive approach. So so wherever you need, so you use the agile methodology, otherwise you follow the predictive approach. And other two are, one is largely predictive approach with the agile components, and the other one is largely agile approach. So wherever you need it, in between the project, you use the predictive methodology. So the predictive or waterfall, so the same thing what you're seeing, so that so you're seeing like this. So this is called the waterfall methodology. So where the requirements, design, implementation, verification, maintenance, so everything is done in an order. So once you finish the requirements, then you come to design. Then after that, you come to implementation. So after implementation, you go to verification, and the final product is received at the end of the verification stage. So that is the final release or the final product what you are getting. So the delivery of the value is at the end. So the project management process groups, if you see, so there are 5 different process groups. So that is initiation to closure. So initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and the closure. Okay, so in initiation, you decide what are the different things that you're going to do. So the design, everything that you will do, and then based on that, you plan for that particular project. So you do the full planning. So the project plan. So based on the project plan, you'll be doing the execution, and the successful completion, you'll be doing the closures. And the monitoring and the controlling, you will be doing from the initiation stage till the closure stage. So whatever you need to monitor and control, so that you'll be doing it from the initiation stage till the closure stage. We see about the performance domains. So the performance domains, so there are 8 different performance domains, so which are important for the project or the product. So the domains are the areas of focus for delivering the projects. They occur throughout the project lifecycle, and they are outcome focused. Okay, so the outcomes are different from the outputs. So for example, if we have a performance domain around effective interaction with the stakeholders, so we'd like to want to know the outcome associated with that. So one outcome may be called the maybe satisfied stakeholders. So satisfied stakeholders, how you will measure. So you can measure with surveys or observing relationships, interactions, etc. So using that, you will measure it. So that is the outcomes where the output will give you the input for the outcomes. Okay. Project delivery principles. So in project delivery principles, so it has got 12 project delivery principles, so which are mainly needed for the successful completion of the project. So mainly the 5 process groups are being replaced with the project delivery principles. And this guides the actions and the behaviors of the project practitioners, what they are going to do. Okay. So they follow the independent and the development approach, so which completes correctly. So that is about the basic on project management. So the other methodologies, so the project management institute. So what we saw till now, so that is based on the project management institute, that is the PMI, project management institute's framework. And the other things that are available are the critical change, so which mainly focuses on the buffers, that is the project buffer, resource buffer, or the task buffers. IPMA is the International Project Management Associates, so they develop the project management standards based on the particular country where they are working on. So they develop the standards and help to execute the project. And the BRM is the benefit relationship management. So that process groups are mainly aligned to aligning, consulting, enabling, servicing, and evolving. So those are the things. And Prince 2 is projects in controlled environment. So that is called as Prince 2. So mostly used in European and UK. And so they this mainly concentrate towards the outcomes and not the outputs. So this has got 7 principles, 7 processes, and 7 themes. So this is the basic training that we have. So on the introduction, so the on project management basics, we give what are methods, methodologies, and the different frameworks that are associated, and then we'll see about the project portfolio management in detail, the project management life cycle, the organization structure, PMO, that is a project office, to do the critical path method, the network diagram, critical path PDM analysis, and then the different frameworks. So the basics of the different frameworks, what the different frameworks, principles, process, and other things that are showing in the each and different frameworks. Also, we'll see about the value stream management, how to analyze the values. So those things we'll be analyzing, and we're finishing with the sample case study from initiation to the closing, and the introduction for project management tools, the career path that you can take it in project management. So what are the different career paths and the career guidelines? So all these things that will be added. So these are our training programs. And any questions? We have 5 minutes. So if you have any questions, you can take it.